welcome to a new Harry's Garage video. And yeah, we are not in the garage, we're on the Honiston Pass in the Lake District, and we have dashed up here for a few days just to explore the lakes, and we've brought the little Lancia Fulvia Sport, my Zagato, and I brought it up here because we've done the Lake District a couple of times. First time we came up on Harry's Garage, we were in that McLaren SLR that had been tweaked by MSO, and it was the wrong car. It was lovely on the way up on the motorway and the open roads, and then we tried the hard knot pass, and that was just a disaster in the SLR. We had to do a U-turn and dashed off into Yorkshire and really enjoyed it on some bigger open roads. Then we came back again in that Morgan earlier this year, and that really suited it. And the smaller car, I suddenly thought, hang on a minute, if I'm going to Lake District again, I'm going to bring a little narrow car, and I'm going to bring this one because it's this rally crazy car that barks and things. And yeah, we're going to do some of the roads in here. The Lake District is not a driving destination. It is a beautiful part of the UK. So I am not recommending this as the ultimate driving experience, but just to explore, and a little car like this, it's really quite fun. Just going through some details, I'm going to get a map out. I like a map, as you know. Now, we came up yesterday, and yeah, it's from our house in the Cotswolds to here, it's near enough 4 hours, and an awful lot of it is on the motorway. And yeah, it's a bit of a drag. There's no escape from it. And you know, the Zagato is not the perfect motorway car, but it's all right because it's extremely slippery because it's tiny and it's been designed by Zagato. And Zagato are famed.
Great car.
It is, isn't it? Little. Yes, it's all right. Yes. As I say, it's a good choice out here. What was I saying? Yes, the Zagato, because Zagato do aerodynamics. They make a slipperier car that goes quicker. That's the whole reason d'etre of Zagato. So, side profile, you look at it, and on the motorway, it will happily cruise along, keep up with the quickest traffic, shall we say, on the motorway, legal traffic. And the nice thing is, it does not bad MPG, even though it's this crazy engine, which I'll have a look at the moment. So 30 MPG plus when you're on the motorway. But then you get to the Lake District and you're plunged into narrow little roads before you even sneeze. It's a lovely, we come in, right, I will show you on the map where we come in. We come into the Lake District south. When we went to Coniston, so we came off the motorway, then we take the A590 and we're looking for Newbury Bridge. And this is as narrow as anything, all through here, Grisdale Forest all here, pretty, but do not even think about doing this road in a car bigger than a Zagato, really. You come round here, the nice way in, another nice way into lakes is to come past Coniston Water up here, absolutely beautiful. We're staying in Roffey Manor in Ambleside, that's where we're staying. But last night, we came up, we decided to come up at short notice because there was forecast to be good weather. It's not quite come out so far today. It's a bit drizzly and just cloud is just lifting. But we did the hard knot pass last night, and then we turned around because you could see weather was coming in and there was a bit of rain last night. But I'm going to drop in now just a section of hard knot pass that we did in Wildale Pass, just so you can get a sense of the sound and fury of this little Zagato tackling the bends up there. Now, as you might have noticed, it was quite frenetic in the car taking this up, because when I did the restoration of this car, I didn't want the standard 1600cc engine normal tune. I wanted to enhance it. I had those Weber 45s on the shelf that they restored and fitted to it, and I basically went to Group 4 rally sort of stage with this engine. So it's quite an angry, quite a tweaked engine in here, and it's not particularly happy under 2000 RPM and 2,500 really to run clean, and it flies over 3000 RPM, which when you've got really steep roads, and it's not a particularly close ratio gearbox, there's a lot of first gear activity, you can't quite get into second, it's just too quick. When my experience of the roads up here, they are properly rough. And yeah, you can't, even if they were smooth, yeah, you'll be struggling in between gears with this to try and get it in second. Some of that crazy sort of cornering you have to do. It's quite a busy workout, but it is a glorious engine, and we're going to find some better passes. But the hard knot last night, yeah, it was a bit of a wake-up call at how hard you have to push it. And coming up to this Honeston Pass, yeah, you're down by the lake, 40 zone, and then suddenly there's a steep bit. I was very kind, someone pulled over for me and I could crack on and get it into second, and all was good. Oh, I think there's a Porsche coming up here as well. But yeah, it's a great fun car, this, but it gives you a workout. It's like the car has a temper tantrum or something when you show it some steep roads and you've got to challenge a bit of road, because you really have to work on it. I really enjoy it because, you know, I did tune it, and that's why it's like that. Hello. Sorry, is it a Lancia? Yeah, this is a Fulvia Sport 72. Yeah, people always stop when they see this car because they've just never seen one, and it's so vibrant, bright in this red. But anyway, the engine is an angry, racy sort of engine. If I just open it up, there you go. That it revs to 7-ish. It does its best work from 3, from 7. But I'll take these off, and you can sort of see the trumpets there. Because that's sort of how it's tuned, is without the sock. And I always have the socks on if I'm doing a run up here, but just for the few little rows and passes we're going to do, I'm going to take those air socks off, because then I've got the full snort factor from this engine through those carburetors. And if you've been watching Harry's Garage recently, reminds me of all things that Ferrari 250 GTO. Induction bark is one of the best noises a car can produce. You all think it's exhaust sound that's the best, but actually when you're driving it, the sensations, induction bark is fantastic. And I think the ultimate one, well, that 250 GTO now, but also the McLaren F1 has that incredible carbon intake above your head. It is the richest bark. Unfortunately, I've been very lucky to drive several McLaren F1s, but I've never had a video camera, so I can't share it with you, but it is a sensational sound. So we're going to take those trumpets off. We're going to head off down here. It's Buttermere down here, and we'll find some better roads, and hopefully the sun will come out at some point today. It's funny, we're downhill now, so there's no problems with this sort of tricky engine with its caminess at sort of wanting to be over 2,500 RPM. But I thought I'd just give you a quick tour of the cabin so you can see what does what in here, because it is quite different. So yeah, 140 mile an hour speeder, which is probably about right. They did 120 with a standard engine. I think this engine is probably knocking the door about 150 horsepower, somewhere around there. And we'll probably do 130. I don't know if it's got the revs, probably 125, 130, depending on where you revved it to. Then fuel tank. The crazy thing with this thing, it has a tiny tank. It's 38 litres of fuel, but it's all right on fuel, really. In the middle, water temperature, which is absolutely fine, even when you're mucking about, because we had a bespoke aluminium rad made for this car. And oil pressure that rarely reads correctly. Oh, they all do that, sir, apparently. And that was one of the advantages. When I bought this car, it had low oil pressure, and then I discovered that all Fulvias have low oil pressure as well. And then we have sat-nav on this car, very nicely arranged with here, which is where my phone sits, and yeah, you just pull out the ashtray. It's a nice little place for it to sit, elastic band around those 2 screws, and you have the perfect place for your phone, and you can have a sat nav as if you've got a screen in your car. And if you're wondering what's hiding behind there, that's actually where all the fuses and relays live. It looks like a speaker grill, but it isn't. It's all the wiring hiding under there. And then you've got this strange ventilation here. And this car has 3 electric windows. One, well, let's do these 2 here first. Two down here, if you can see these ones, left and right window. And then this one up on the dash, which is quite nuts. And that is the rear window, and I can use it as a vent, and I can open it. I can see it in the mirror opening. Here we go. This is where this car is such an advantage. On these little lanes. That's it. Yeah, so I can lift it up there, and I can have sort of vent, and it just helps the ventilation in the car. Quite bonkers, but you do have to have it because it's the only way you can get into the boot, because then there's a little clip on the catch, and that's how you actually lift the boot lid. But first of all, you have to open it on there. Bonkers. Heater controls here, and this being a 1600 version, I get a oil temperature gauge, and you can see that we haven't really worked it very hard, but that will get up, very rarely gets that much higher than 60, 70. Oh, and this is our radio, and we then Bluetooth to that, and we can listen to the radio when we've got long trips coming up the motorway, or Simon Mayo confession podcast and various things. That's how we listen to those. So yeah, it's all mod cons in here for 1972, navigation and speaker, and a very barky engine, as you can guess, but I've just got to watch the revs and make sure where we are. Yes, it's very childish. Oh, I ought to also point out the rear view mirror that is perfectly positioned, and it gives a fantastic view out the back. Nothing of the parents. It's so odd, Lancia. They just do quirky stuff, but they generally do the quirky stuff really well. Anyway, we're going to carry on down here into Buttermere and then head out of Buttermere, and I want to get on some more open roads. Come to a different part of the Lake District, slightly further south, and we just stumbled across a sort of more open bit of road, slightly wider, and it's uphill, it's a pass up here. And I thought I'd just show you the engine characteristics, why I'm fighting it, why it needs revs over 2,500 really to be happy, and how it makes hill starts and just moving away quite tricky. So here I are, you can see the rev count, it's 2,000, and there we are. We can just about pull away, and then gets up to 3,000 and it's happy. But if I just let the revs drop, we're at 2.5, and I'm in second, I'll go down to 2,000, and I am now flat out, and I'm going to come to a stop. Can't be done. So it's a race engine, and it just thrives on revs, and you've got to rev it out, and it's just glorious. It puts you, remember those sort of BDA escorts and things like that, but you've got to keep it in that zone. There's this hot cams, big carbs. I could tune it so it's user friendly, but then I'd lose top end horsepower. So this is a choice when you're tuning an engine. And now we have variable cam timing, ignition, all trick stuff to get around this problem. But in this age, if you wanted a hot engine, you put hot cams in, higher lift, more overlap, and you've got an engine with this sort of characteristics, and it's huge fun, but it's all a bit of a nightmare if you just let the revs drop. Say a car's going past, you try and move away at lower revs, 2,000 RPM. And then we're off 3,000, 4, and away you go. So here, that sort of gives you a taste of the character of the little Zagato's engine. Feisty, to say the least, and lovely soundtrack, especially with the open trumpets and lots of sheep about. We're on the flat now, so life is easier. It's not a sound you get bored of. It's very involving. What's great is its induction sound, and therefore it's mainly inside the cabin you hear it. You do hear it outside as well, but it's not, to me, it's not nearly as obnoxious as a loud exhaust. When the induction is just the best sound of the lot. So nice being in a little car that you can just pass other cars, no problem at all. And the crazy thing is, you sound as though you're driving like a maniac. I haven't been anywhere near 60 miles an hour. It's all happening at 40, 50, maybe 55. A completely different part now. We're making our way back actually via Coniston, and we might see Bluebird. It'll be the third time I've tried to do it, but it's 5 to 5, so it's probably going to be closed. One day I will go to the museum and see it there. But yeah, it's quite interesting, just the two shades of this car. That one moment you're ragging it and you've got all that induction bark and craziness, and then the other time it can quite happily cruise along. And I thought just to compare, I'll just do a noise check to see the difference between full on and just cruising along. And I did it on the motorway, sitting at 70 miles an hour, and on the decibel meter it was 79 point something. So it is relatively hushed, and you can get down to about 78. So that's about your limit. In just like we are now, just in the gears. So it can actually be quite civilized, but when you do open it up, when you do take advantage of that red line and the bark for the induction, those open trumpets, it does get a bit noisy. And just to check how noisy it was, well, we did a meter reading and it came out at 95 decibels. So yeah, pretty damn loud. Anyway, tomorrow is meant to be a brighter day, so we're not doing any more today. You'll join us tomorrow, and hopefully the sun will be out and we'll go and explore some even prettier areas of the Lake District. Get the end. The sun is out today, which is really good, and we've just filled up with fuel. It's got a tiny tank, the Zag, as I say, 38 litres, and so I sort of fill it up start of the day rather than running it out. And there's this lovely book in this car when I first bought this car, and it's a sort of fuel log that owners have kept, and it goes back to 1994. So quite some time, and there's pages, and each time they filled it up with fuel, it's all logged in here. 86 Z badge replaced, You've got 2 new door keys, car running, idling much better. All sorts of comments in here, all the way back. It's about 70 odd thousand miles. It's 108,000 miles, this car. If I go all the way back to when did I buy it? Let's have a look when I bought it. Yes, HM bought car from Hairpin Company, and it was at 3,830 miles, and it's now on 8,400. So it's done about 4,500 miles. And I think it's done about 3,000 miles since the rebuild. So it's got more use than I thought. But I just think it's right to log sort of what petrol use and stuff we do on it. So the trip up here, there we go, first leg from home, motorway, 70 miles an hour I've put in here. It was 161 miles, 23.98 litres, so 30.49 mpg. Yesterday wasn't quite as good. Yeah, we were charging around hard knots and all past these Keswick, and then, yeah, all through Lake District, absolutely not trying to maximise MPG, turning around for cameras and things. And yeah, 19.18 MPG, this one. There was actually a fill up in between at 23 MPG. So I'm just going to fill in my log, and then after that, we're going to head out and we're going to Coniston, and I am going to see Bluebird in the museum. It is now open. We missed it last night, but today is open. That's where we're heading. Beautiful spot. This is Coniston Water. We've just come back around the lake. We've just dropped by Coniston to see K7. Finally, it's a bit the museum, and all times coincided, so we saw that. But yeah, we've had a great morning actually. We went first to Kirkstone Pass, went up there, really quite quiet. We were lucky, lucky with the traffic, but so lucky with the weather. Just look at it today, it's just wonderful. The cloud has dissipated, the hills look fantastic, and we've got these autumnal colours coming in with the trees, not a breath of wind. It was just lovely up there. It's quite, I mean, really everywhere's scenic in Lake District, but the nice thing about the Kirkstone Pass is it's smooth tarmac, and it's two lane, it's just a bit more easier going, and we did some filming up there, but fabulous. I know we went down something called the Struggle, which takes you down into Ambleside, and we just stumbled across, there was a drag hunt happening up on the hills. There was a guy with a horn controlling the hounds. Yeah. Yeah, it was just magic to see. It's a very traditional sort of site, evocative site from the Lake District, this region. Then I haven't mentioned actually where we stayed. We stayed at Roffey Manor down in Ambleside. Great spot, lovely hotel, very nice food. It's not the cheapest place to stay in the Lake District, but very comfortable, and we were particularly impressed with their boot room and sort of dog washing facilities and things, and we probably should have brought Stanley up, but we didn't think this was the most suitable car to bring him up. But that's where we stayed the last couple of nights, and it just is a really good access to all the various lovely places in this area. I'm just going to mention something I often get comments on, this tailgate on this Fulvia being open like this. This is a third electric window on this strange car, so you get the electric windows on the side, you know, passenger and drivers, and then you get this one, and it just allows you to then release the hatch and access this enormous boot, which is just huge. We never run out of space because this is quite a big space, and then you've got the back seat as well. We did a bit of shopping, sort of, yeah, strange things we buy. So a bow saw we bought, and some clothing, and a nice new map of the Lake District, just to show where the lumpy bits of the Lake District is. Keswick up here, and that's a particular sort of really more mountainous area, if you like, more up there than here's Windermere and Coniston Water where we are, Grisdale Forest. It's not quite as high here, it's there. Scarfell, wherever Scarfell is, there's Scarfell Peak there. That is the most dramatic bit. The trouble with Scarfell in this area here, very little access to it. You've got the Hard Knot Pass here, or you go up to Keswick, and then we went down by Buttermere. It's quite inaccessible, and that's what makes it so nice. We have been to Wastwater and Wasdale Head here, there's a pub there, really nice once you get to the end, but it's a cul-de-sac. It stops there. There's no other connection road unless you do the hard knot, and you've got to be in the right car, in the right mood to do that, and not in the middle of the tourist period to do it, because it gets quite crowded. So that's how that works. And then it's quite an interesting thing, that hatch feature. That's why you see them quite often with the boot lid open. And just a bit more on the car really. It's been ace up here, and you can sort of see why it's not a straightforward car if you really want to drive this car. But this is precisely how I wanted this car. I restored it to be in this state of tune. I wanted it to be like the rally cars. I wanted that bark. I wanted all that top end horsepower. And it takes me back to when I first started in cars in the 70s. This is how you tune cars. You had high lift cams, you had more overlap, you put bigger carburetors on it, bunch of banana manifolds, and basically back then you were sort of sacrificing the low power of the engine to heap all the power at the higher revs. That's what you're doing. That's where it breathes. A bit like that 250 GTO was exactly the same, but that had a 3-litre engine V12, much easier than with a 1600 engine like this. Because you've got to remember, this car came out, the first Fulvia was 1100 cc, so 1600 was stretched as far as they could make it. And people often think about this car next to the Alfa Romeo, the 1750 and 2-litre GTVs, and you think, that's rear drive, that's much more exciting. But it's a sort of bigger car and it's a sort of lazier feel. I know there's Alfaholics and things tune them, but the steering is pretty wishy-washy, I find, on them. And I much prefer this. This is like a demented sort of posh Mini. It's got squishy seats, more comfortable, and that angry engine, negative camber on the front, it's just more comfortable in the Mini, but it's very like that character that you have, this front wheel drive and a lovely gear change, 5-speed gear change. And I have to rev it to make sure I drop down to the next gear on these steep hills with over 2,500, 3,000 RPM on the rev counter, and then it hares away because it's on cam and in its power zone. You let those revs drop and then you're in trouble and you'll have to go down a gear, and trying to do hill starts is all a bit tricky. But that is the character of it. I have it as a third car to remind me what true driving was. I think now we're so sanitised driving, paddle shift, all this horsepower, low down torque, all too easy. This is a reminder of what driving really was about, and I find it hugely engaging. I wouldn't want to do it every day, but wow, it makes trips like this very special. I have to say huge thanks to Darren White and Prestige Refinishing, who did the restoration on this car. It has performed faultlessly every time. I say I've done about 4,000 miles since restoration, and it's just turnkey and goes, which I'm so chuffed about. And I think it looks drop dead gorgeous. When I see it, it just shouts Lancia Rally. From my youth, it's what I want Lancia to be like. I saw those, Monte Carlo winning Group 4 were they rally cars from 1972, winning the Monte Carlo rally. I have driven one of those Works Fulvias, and it's just like this one, angry and all through the gears, even shorter gear than this one. And the other thing I must add, if you come to the Lake District in a car this size, it's heaven. It's just over 1.5 metres wide, this, and you think a new Land Rover Discovery or something, it's 2.2 metres with the mirrors. So this is between 0.5 metre and 0.7 of a metre narrower than today's cars. And on these roads, it's just lovely to be in this smaller car, and you can pass and everything is less stressful in this car. So what I'm going to do now is refit those socks on the carburetors, and then do 4 hours home. So there you go, that's our Lake District trip in the Fulvia, the little Zag. Hope you enjoyed this journey and joining us on some of these great roads. If you did, keep watching, keep subscribing, more videos coming on very soon.